Today we're going to be drawing a symmetry person. You will be getting a picture of Teddy Roosevelt, and you will be getting a ruler. First thing you need to do is put your pencil tip at the very top of his head. Line the ruler up to the very base of his feet, and very lightly, because this line will be erased, draw a line of symmetry. So what you see on this side, you're going to be drawing on this side. You can either have your paper right side up like this or upside down. Sometimes when we draw things like we don't see them, that kind of helps you see things for what they really are. So this is a really good method in art to sometimes do things upside down. Also, depending upon if you're right-handed or left-handed, it can make it easier by having it one way or the other. After your line of symmetry, we are going to be looking at him, and notice there is this curve at the top, and it just kind of comes down, and then there's a change. Well, wherever there is a change, I'm going to measure out to that change. So we're going to have a reference point at where that change is, so put a little point there, and then measure out to it. I have 0 on my ruler right there, and I like to measure in centimeters, and it's just about over to the second centimeter. I need to make sure I keep my ruler nice and level, and I'm going to just put my pencil right there on that reference on the line of symmetry, so I keep it level, so that my reference point on the other side, I'll go out just by between the second centimeter. Okay, then again, just double check to make sure it's level. You don't want to have it tipsy, otherwise it'll look more like a Picasso versus the other half of the picture. So again, make sure it's nice and level, and then you are going to very lightly be coming, and the line just kind of curves, and you'll want to do it light, because if there are any adjustments or things that you'll need to fix, you'll want to be able to do it. I'll make mine a little bit darker because you're not seeing it quite as well, but again, we can always darken or ink things, but it's really kind of hard. If you've pressed the graphite into the paper too much, then it's permanent. Okay, so the next little change I'm seeing, it kind of goes up a little bit. You could take a reference point out to the tip there, measure out to it, and it's just there's the 2, and then there's the hash mark, and then it's kind of in between the second one. Have my pencil right there on that line of symmetry, and goes out to there. Double check to make sure it's level with that. Make your reference point on the other side and draw. Sometimes if you want to, you can also take your folder and cover up things, and also just make sure your folder is nice and even. Going out again, pencil right on that line of symmetry, and it's right at 0 here, reference point. Measure, it's 3.5 centimeters. Keep my pencil there, slide it over, and 3.5 centimeters. Let's just make sure I haven't tipped it up a little bit. And then it kind of curves coming down. And even I am kind of going light at first, and then I'll just do it darker, but wait till the very end after your teacher has checked to make sure you're being quite symmetrical before you keep going. We're just going to be doing the outline of Teddy Roosevelt first, and then we'll come back in doing the inside part. So here's another change. I noticed that the end of Teddy Roosevelt is right here on the hair. So pencil on that line of symmetry, and right below it is the number 4. Pencil right there, so I keep it nice and level. Make sure your ruler stays nice and level. And you can see that this kind of comes out and around. And if you're not sure about something, you can always take more and more measurements. There, it's just before the 4 centimeter mark, and curve it back around. We'll take one more measurement. Then I'm gonna skip down to show you on like the face where it's a bigger one. So 4 and another hash tick mark. Make sure I get on that line of symmetry. Make sure my ruler's nice and straight. Line it up. And then you're going to be drawing out. Okay? So every time, all I'm doing is measuring the same amount on each side. On this cheek part, it goes quite wide. You want to make sure you're very accurate because you've got a lot of things to fill in on the inside part. So double check on your measurements on that. So at the base, I see there's 4.5 and then 2 more tick marks for the top part of the cheek. And again, I would just double check on that measurement, make sure it's nice and level. Then, since this is such a long area, make sure that you take several different measurements. So, measure there, looks like 5 centimeters, keep it level. Sometimes our brain wants us to go in the same direction, and this is really good to train your brain to go the opposite direction to make things look symmetrical. The base of the ear looks like at 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, progressing like that. And I might bring something out so I know that that's kind of where the air goes out. 5.5, 1, 2.5, 5.5, 1, 2.5. Again, just double check, make sure your ruler is nice and straight. Okay? And then I start to see that chain is where it's going to be coming in. So you'll want to make a measurement right there. So 5.5, 1, 2, 3. 5.5, 1, 2, 3. And then down here, 5, 1, 2. 5, 1, 2. And again, every time I'm double checking, make sure my ruler is nice and straight. Okay? So you can see it coming along, taking several measurements. Another really good one would be right here where it meets up with the arm. Notice I'm keeping my pencil on that line of symmetry after I've looked with my eyes to see what the measurement is on the ruler. And then I measure out to the other side, with those reference points. And I'm going to make a little note here that the arm is going to be coming down right there. Okay, so just continue on. Again, all you're doing is taking measurements from each side to side. Be really careful on the face area. You want to make sure that the eye is the correct length, and a lot of times on the eye too, I will draw a light line because it's going to be erased. You don't want people to know why you're so good at art. Okay, so all these little tips you want to draw lightly so you can erase everything, so everyone just thinks you're an awesome artist. So here I've got 2 light lines going across. That way I will know how big to make the eyeglasses on his face as well. And you can take those measurements anywhere, like on the mustache, mouth, and things like that too. Well, go ahead and get your ruler, and good luck with this.